Folks, you are not going to believe the treacherous actions of our Republican delegation in Washington, D.C. that just helped Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer pass federal gun control through Congress. This video is going to make you absolutely outraged. Aaron Dorr here with Iowa gun owners. And guys, you've been hearing from us for months now about the Violence Against Women Act, better known as the Violence Against the Constitution Act, that Nancy Pelosi, her best friend Dianne Feinstein, and Iowa's own Joni Ernst have been working on. This began last year. Began last year. We call it VAWA, Violence Against Women Act. We've told you guys for months how this bill is chock full of gun control, chock full of gun control, especially over in the House. But in the Senate, Dianne Feinstein, and again, our own Joni Ernst, worked on legislation all for the last 3 or 4 months now to bring that same gun control garbage into fruition in the Senate. And we told you guys, this bill is full of gun control. We told you, call Ernst, call Grassley, and tell them you don't want to see them make any deals with the devil, whether that's Di-Fi or Biden or somebody else, especially since we have elections only 8 months from now. And you guys did. You hammered their offices with calls and emails. I want to be clear on this. You heard nothing about this from the NRA, nothing about this from their affiliate here in Iowa, the Iowa Firearms Coalition, or virtually nothing. Nothing, but you guys pummeled Grassley and Ernst offices. And so instead of them realizing that, you know what, we're pushing bad legislation, instead of Joni just saying, you know what, I'm making gun owners squeal in Iowa, I'm going to back off. Instead of all that, they did a treacherous deal just in the last couple of days in Washington, D.C., and they stuck all of the guts of the gun control garbage in VAWA into the $1.5 trillion omnibus budget bill, which Joe Biden just signed into law. Guys, this should make you outraged. Instead of them realizing that they're making deals with gun grabbers, they tried to trick us. And what Joni Ernst and what Chuck Grassley and what Ashley Hinson and what Miller-Meeks all are trying to do is hide the content of the gun control bill inside of the budget, because they think that you and I, we're too dumb to see what they did. We're too dumb to see what they did. This is House Resolution HR 2471, HR 2471. This is a 2,741-page bill. I had to get that written down. 2,741-page long budget bill, $1.5 trillion boondoggle for Joe Biden. And inside of there, somewhere around page, I think it was 1900, we have two major portions of gun control that we've been asking Ernst and Grassley to oppose. The first one, as you may remember from our emails, the first one deals with NICS denials. Everyone knows somebody who's been denied by NICS. Maybe you have. And we also know, as gun owners, that almost 90% of NICS denials, 90% of them are false positives. Maybe somebody who was banned or prohibited has your same last name. Maybe it's the same first name. Maybe it's the same birth date. Maybe it's a similar address. But 9 out of 10 NICS failures are false positives. And everyone knows that in the gun industry. As consumers, as retailers, everyone knows that. But what Joni Ernst just did, and again, this was agreed to by Chuck Grassley, Ashley Hinson, and Mariannette Miller-Meeks, what they all did was pass legislation that would initiate an ATF criminal investigation every time a gun owner fails a NICS check. And what they would do specifically is have the FBI via NICS give a criminal report to local law enforcement every time you fail a NICS check. So if you're Joe Smith, gun owner in Sheldon, Iowa, and you go to the gun show down in Sioux City, and you go to buy a firearm and you're denied through a NICS violation or a NICS delay, you can expect to see local law enforcement now coming to your door to do an investigation. even though they know, even though Joni Ernst knows, even though Grassley knows that 9 out of 10 of these are false positives. And so we're going to have gun owners being harassed by local law enforcement for no reason whatsoever. That is one of the pieces of garbage that they snuck into this almost 3,000 page long bill. I want to be clear on this. They didn't pass it through VAWA. They're concerned about that. Bad optics, don't you know, for an election year. They should be concerned. But instead of just having enough integrity to say, you know what, we made a bad decision trying to pass gun control with Dianne Feinstein, bad decision. We're not going to support this anymore. No, instead, Joni Ernst, Chuck Grassley, Miller-Meeks, and Hinson sneak it into the budget bill. Disgusting behavior. That's just the first piece. Nix denials is just number one on this agenda. There's also terrible, and I mean terrible language in this bill that would basically federalize local law enforcement for purposes of investigating gun crimes. So what they're going to do with this bill is use our tax money, yours and mine, to have these federal programs that would then have local prosecutors deputized as temporary assistant U.S. attorneys and local cops deputized as temporary ATF agents. And then they can investigate, prosecute these gun violations pursuant to this bill as federal agencies, federal agents. Does anybody want to have our county attorneys work for Merrick Garland? Do you want to have your local county sheriff's department be attached to the ATF? Of course not. That's why we have local elections for county attorneys. That's why we have local elections for sheriffs. That's why we have local law enforcement to enforce the laws of our state, the laws of our county, our town, right? That's what we want. But again, HR 2471 just appropriated federal dollars to federalize local law enforcement. And whose rules do you think they're going to follow when they're on Uncle Joe Biden's dime? They're not going to report back to local taxpayers. They're reporting back to Merrick Garland and Joe Biden. This is treacherous stuff. It was snuck in the middle of the night in a 3,000-page long bill where apparently Joni Ernst and Chuck Grassley hoped we'd never find out. This should make you outraged. I want to be clear on this. Only 39 Republicans in the House. Only 39 Republicans in the House out of hundreds of them voted yes on this garbage. Now, that's a bad number, no doubt, but only 39 out of the entire country. And we have to have Ashley Hinson and Mariannette Miller-Meeks be on that list. Did anybody in Iowa contact these two and say, hey, you know what? Vote for the Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden budget, which has gun control in it. I mean, this is absurd. Who asked them to do this? Who in Iowa wanted these two, not to mention Joni Ernst and Chuck Grassley, walk up to Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer in the case of our senators and say, you know what? We're going to help you out. We're going to vote yes on this garbage legislation. I know we never told you guys to contact them. I know no IGO member contacted them and asked them to do this. This is the kind of crap that happens. They do it in the middle of the night. They do it in a 3,000-page long budget bill, hoping you'd never find out. And we wonder why we have so many problems with moderate backstabbing rhinos in Washington, D.C. Shameful conduct, actually. Shameful, Mariannette. Shameful, Joni. And shameful, Chuck. Kill my phone here. All four of you know better. All four of you know better. I want to give a shout out to Randy Feenstra. You know, the pressure on these types of these situations mounts rapidly. And I can assure you, don't know it firsthand, but I know politics firsthand. And I can almost guarantee you that when Mariannette and Ashley decided to cross over with the Democrats and vote for this garbage, I can almost assure you they went over to Randy and said, hey, Randy, join us so at least we all are standing together. And Randy Feenstra, thank God, stood tall and voted no on this garbage a couple days ago in Washington, D.C. So we have been hard on Congressman Feenstra in the past on bills last fall, but this time, Randy stood tall. And it's not just a metaphor because we all know Randy is even taller than I am. He's a giant. But Randy stood tall for gun owners and voted no on H.R. 2471, and we appreciate that very much. The question is, again, why in God's name is Joni Ernst making deals and drafting gun control with Dianne Feinstein? Why would Chuck Grassley go along with this in the budget? Why did Ashley Hinson do this? Why Mariannette Miller-Meeks? These are questions you guys should ask them. Contact them by email, call their office, see them at a forum and say, what is the point in electing Republicans if you're going to go to Washington, D.C. and do the exact same thing that Cindy Axne did? What is the point? Teresa Greenfield would have pushed the exact same gun control that Joni Ernst did. Only because Teresa Greenfield was a Democrat, it would have been opposed by Republicans. But now we have Republican Joni Ernst drafting gun control literally with Dianne Feinstein and Dick Durbin. And because now it's bipartisan, now Republicans can support this. This is trash. This is garbage politics from weak-kneed moderates who should know better. And again, shame on all four of them, and a strong thank you to Feenstra for holding the line and voting no. You know, it doesn't even matter if you're not even if the gun stuff doesn't impact you directly. The idea that any Republican is going to back a $1.5 trillion boondoggle budget appropriation for this president is insanity. Is insanity. Every single bill coming out of this White House should be opposed by the Republicans. It doesn't even matter what it is anymore. The man is a madman. He's a tyrant. And not for nothing, but his fiscal policies have ballooned the inflation rate to 8%, even if you trust the government's numbers. So you know it's probably somewhere around 10%, 12%, 14%. Why any Republican would grant this China bought and paid for president of a yes vote on the budget is insanity. So whether your issue is gun rights or whether your issue is just simple fiscal sanity, what happened here was unforgivable behavior from Joni, from Chuck, from Ashley, and from Mariannette. And guys, they need to hear from you right away. Only a handful of senators backed this. Only a handful. And two of them were ours. Treacherous stuff. The NRA did not oppose this. Their affiliates here in Iowa did not oppose this. The Republicans here in Iowa, save for Randy Feenstra, did not oppose this. But we did. We did, guys. And you forced them to try to hide this garbage in the budget. It's not going to work. It's not working now. They're hearing about it right now. But guys, great job putting pressure on these people. Don't let up. There's always more betrayal around the corner if we sit back and don't hold the line. So keep the pressure on these guys. If you're not involved yet with IGO, guys, now is the time to join this fight. Join IGO.com. We are fighting tooth and nail federally here in the state of Iowa to fight for your gun rights and against gun control, exposing corrupt deals between Republicans and anti-gun Democrats, in this case in Washington, D.C. We need your help, guys. Join the fight. Join IGO.com. And again, in the meantime, when you bump into Chuck Grassley, Joni Ernst, Ashley Hinson, or Miller-Meeks at a forum or some event in your community, ask them, why did you betray us? We need you the most on the budget bill, H.R. 2471. Why'd you join just a handful of trash ball, backstabbing, moderate rhinos to vote yes on this bill when you knew it had multiple gun control pieces in it? Shameful behavior. Shame on them all, guys. Share our video. Get involved at joinigo.com. More information to come. You guys take care.